Britton Watts, who has missed a number of games also with an ankle problem, is also available today. And the Terriers win the opening tip as Suk Matone knocks it away from Alex Timmerman.
Yeah, you mentioned Walter White hasn't played since November 21st when the Terriers embarked on that Jacksonville trip, a very successful trip, minus losing 3 players, including Nevin Zink, who's out for the season.
Yeah, that was one of the strangest strangest road trips ever, as Javante McCoy takes the first shot of the game and puts BU on the board. The Terriers came within a whisker of winning all 3 of those games on that Florida trip, but they lost a key rotation player in each of those 3 games.
And again, Nevin Zink out for the season, but the Terriers happy to be healthy, getting 2 guys back as Walter White brings down his first rebound.
Off the Xander Rice miss. Tynan misses on the break, but Suk Matone there to clean it up.
And just to reiterate, that was a fast break. Suk Matone beat all of Bucknell down the floor. So you want to talk about not necessarily inexperience, but that's just working hard. And the Terriers are going to have to do it on this man, Funk.
There's that jumper for Andrew Funk. Silky smooth and knocks down the first points for Bucknell.
Terriers starting with Jonas Harper on him. I assume you're going to see kind of a mixture with Fletcher Tynan and guys off the bench, but right now the shorter Jonas Harper on him as Walter White gets his first shot, a 3. You know what I'm going to say about that. You always want his first shot being going downhill.
Javante with a short bounce pass to Matone. A little too far out that time for Suk.
Yeah, I think when Suk turned around, he was also looking for a cutter. No one was moving without the basketball. When the Terriers are at their best offensively, you're seeing guys moving without the basketball as graceful, and then the passing becomes easier. That wasn't the case for that one for Suk. It was forcing a one-on-one move.
Inside, the spin gets shut off. Timmerman has to give it up. Rice with 5 to shoot. Kicks it back out, and Funk is able to convert on the reverse.
Oh, that time it was a switch that Fletcher Tynan got him, but he allowed the baseline because he expected the secondary help from the big. It wasn't there, and Funk was able to go up and under. A beautiful finish. He's got 4 early points, and now an early foul on Vanderheiden as that one 25 feet away on Fletcher Tynan.
In addition to one of these teams being very veteran, I hate to use the word old when they're in their 20s, but the Terriers are the veteran team, certainly, whereas Bucknell was very young. The other difference is, Brian, unlike many of the teams that we've seen so far this season, Bucknell has a very short roster. They only have 12 players on their roster. They have 1 walk-on, Alek Delev from Bulgaria, who has not played at all. So they've been using 11 players in all so far this season, whereas BU has had a wealth of riches, and they've been able to withstand all of these injuries up to this point as Walter White drills that 3 right in Brian Moore's face.
You know, Doug, I thought you were going to go a different direction. I thought you were going to talk about the fact that Bucknell doesn't have transfers either,
That's
which is
true
another
too.
big change as well as we get in the Patriot League play.
Funk missing the runner.
But you're right, Bucknell, they're still looking at their rotation as well. One thing, we spoke with head coach Nathan Davis before the game, and he said, we're trying to still figure it out. This is a learning process, and what's different about his Bucknell team this year is that they would just want to be a better team in January and February, which we've seen them get off to great starts in years as well.
Xander Rice gets called for the bump there on Fletcher Tynan, so the second team foul on Bucknell, the first on Rice.
You don't usually see the Bucknell team start off a non-conference season at 3-9. That's not what we've seen from Bucknell over the last 5 years.
The other element that Bucknell really does not have as part of their arsenal in terms of their roster, as Javante McCoy hits another turnaround, is Bucknell has very limited grad student opportunities on their campus. So Bucknell, for all intents and purposes, will not have grad students.
That's right.
The Terriers now have 5 grad students on their roster, with Jonas Harper being added to that list now here in the second semester. The 3 misfires for Elvis Edmonds, the freshman.
And besides talking about their age, I also want to mention that a Bucknell team, they don't have a true defensive stopper like they've had in years past. I mean, you talk about, Avi Toomer, you talk about even guys like Kimball McKenzie, they're missing that. And defensively, that's where this team is struggling right now. Offensively, they're one of the best in the league in terms of field goal percentage and scoring offense, but defensively, last in the league in scoring defense. You don't usually see a Nathan Davis team like that.
From the baseline, McCoy to put it in. Matone working on Josh Ado. young big man into the game. Jonas Harper misfires his first three.
And that's what you like, is seeing that inside-out opportunity, where Sukmatone caught it, though, was from the elbow. And Andre Screen, who's into the game for him, I want to see Sukmatone take it against Screen. That's a good matchup, even against a 7-footer. He should have the physicality element.
From the wing, Ado can't hit. Terriers get another rebound. Kind of a semi-fast break. White finds the open man, Tynan. Can't hit it.
And that's 2 times in a row the Terriers have executed offensively, in the sense that they've been able to get the ball into the paint, look out, get an open jumper. Both times they have it knocked down. Jonas, by the way, 2 weeks ago, a career-high 13 three-point field goal attempts.
Wow, that was a late whistle, as Waldry, that was a problem for him in the summer, and he re-aggravated that same injury. Nevin had surgery a few days ago. We hear all went well, and he's expecting to bounce back well for the Terriers. Screen misses the turnaround in the lane for Bucknell, and then the second shot is blocked by Chemezi, but they called the travel. I thought maybe they were going to get Chemezi on the foul.
Malcolm did a great job, even though there was a screener in front. That allowed Andre to get a look at the basket, but he shuffled his feet, and the Terriers get a stop. It's a continued run right now, a 5-0 mini run for the Terriers over the last 3 minutes.
The one BU player who is not available today is Damon Tate. He is out. Everybody who's here, all 12, are available for Bucknell. Garrett Pascoe in the game for the first time, along with Miles Brewster.
And Malcolm Chemezi. We mentioned that the rotations are going to be interesting now with 2 guys back. We have not seen Ethan Britton-Watts yet in this contest.
Fletcher Tynan, late shot clock with the jumper. Yeah, it's possible, Brian, that we could see 11 BU players here in the first half.
Yeah, Joe Jones told us that he expects to play everyone at least in the first half. And when the game gets into the second half, that's where it's going to be kind of an adjustment based on what Bucknell has done and what his team is doing with those 11 guys out there.
Malachi Rhodes inside, but that's an offensive foul, and Bucknell turns it over again.
We got to go back to Fletcher Tynan. The jump shot he hit, it was last game against Marist, his 4th game this season in double figures. He also had a career-high 10 field goal attempts, did Fletcher. Again, sometimes when the offense is breaking down and when Javante is not in the game, there've got to be other ways for the Terriers to score. And I think Fletcher, one of his growth areas is saying, listen, you may not know me as a scorer, but if I need to help this team whatever way I can. And if that means on the offensive side, I'm going to put up shots, that's what I'm going to do.
Pascoe trying to take it all the way inside, and Screen says no.
Well, that's what Andre Screen does. Last year, we watched him obviously from afar on ESPN, and he is a good shot blocker. This year hasn't had as much coming off the ankle as well as a game that he missed because of an illness, but getting back into the habit.
Here he is at the offensive end, and he's on the board for his first points of the day, and that breaks a 7-0 BU run.
You just can't let a guy have that much time in the paint dribbling the ball. When it's a big man, you have to attack him because that's just too much time for a big man to get comfortable.
Javante McCoy can't hit the step back. Screen with the rebound.
And that's where he can control the glass. We saw Walter White in his 4.5 minutes really control the glass. He had 3 rebounds in that time. And now Andre Screen taking advantage on the defensive end.
Ian Moda, true freshman from Allen, Texas, one of the 4 freshmen on this Bucknell roster. Shot blocked by Miles Brewster, but it goes right back to Josh Bosco. He gets rid of it, and Ado misses the 3.
Now, the Terrier defense, again, this one thing that we saw 2 weeks ago against Marist, it was not a great defensive performance. What we've seen so far, even though it's against an inexperienced team, is that Bucknell has had footsteps everywhere they've gone.
Fletcher Tynan with room on the baseline, can't hit, and Chemezi gets fouled as he gets the offensive rebound. So Malcolm hustling underneath. Malcolm Chemezi in that Marist game played only 10 minutes. He had 6 points, 2 rebounds, and he hit every shot he took. He was 2 for 2 from the floor and 2 for 2 from the line.
Yeah, as you see Fletcher driving, and I think that's where Screen even alters the shot. Even if he doesn't get a shot blocked, altering the effort by Tynan. But you mentioned Malcolm Chemezi. He had a great game against Marist in limited action. That career high, you mentioned the 6 minutes in his young time, but certainly the Terriers with giving Sukmatone breather. One thing Joe Jones told us is that guys are playing too many minutes. Even after 2 weeks off, they've got to control minutes, and especially with grad students and seniors, they've all played a lot of minutes in general, and he's got to, he's really said he puts it on him and his coaches that they've got to find other guys that can help, and certainly Malcolm Chemezi has done that at that 5 position.
Joe Jones sends in Ethan Britton Watts and Anthony Morales for their first run in the first half. And of course for Ethan, his first game since the Florida State game back in late November.
Sorry, Doug, I was going to say this is limited because they're trying to get under the 12-minute media timeout.
Oh, underneath by Josh Ado, and he absorbs the contact. Chance for a three-point play for Ado after Chimezi went 1 for 2 at the line at the other end.
Yeah, Ethan Britton Watts is going to pick up the personal as the great back cut. This is moving without the basketball. Ethan tries to block it from behind, but Ado able to beat him, and then a great finish as well. And he has a chance for a three-point play. So tough welcome back for Ethan as his first possession. He gets turns the head, and Ado looking to turn it into 3.
Ado is now 12 of 13 at the free throw line this season.
And Ado has really been a huge help from the outside. He's hit a 3 in every game except one this season.
Suk Matone trying to power over screen. Can't quite finish it.
Screen did a great job of just staying vertical. Staying up, keep your hands up, and let Suk Matone try to create contact and not draw a foul. That's textbook.
Screen in great position for the dunk, and Bucknell pulling right back within 1.
That's just, there's a battle of age, and the youth won on those back-to-back possessions right there.
Ethan Britton Watts looking for Matone. Great spin by Suk, and he beat Bucknell here on this floor in the semifinals of that 2020 Patriot League tournament. That was the last time these two teams played 22 months ago, give or take a few days. And the Terriers have now won 3 straight in the matchup against Bucknell because they swept in the regular season that year for the first time. And then, of course, won the tournament game as well. So BU went 3-0 against the Bison 2 years ago.
Nathan Davis was very straightforward with me before the game. He says, I forgot how long this trip is. So the year in between, he definitely didn't miss it. And remember that year that they had to make that trip twice in the span of a week because they ended the regular season and then the playoffs in the semifinals against Bucknell as well.
Xander Rice drills a 3 to tie the game at 14.
And one of the reasons why Xander Rice being able to move off the ball, he is another three-point shooter on this team that has a plentiful amount of three-point shooters, but getting him off the ball with Edmonds out there, you've got 2 combo guards. That allows Xander Rice to focus on his offense more as well.
Jonas Harper trying to beat his man off the dribble and lost it on the baseline. Just enough defensive pressure from Elvin Edmonds IV from Hopewell, Virginia. I believe I might have inadvertently said Elvis before instead of Elvin. But
we'll have to go back to the tape. That's why they record these.
But Elvin is in the building. I will say that.
And Jonas Harper just looked like he took his eye off of it. Ball hit him off the head. That was just kind of a bobble possession, one of those unforced errors.
Andrew Funk with another fall away.
Well,
and Funk now has 6 in the game.
Doug, one thing you're going to see in this game between Funk and Javante McCoy, the mid-range game is alive and well in this game, and it's very good to see.
Ethan Britton Watts misses his first shot of his comeback. This is the first Bucknell lead of the game, incidentally.
Yeah, it's a 10-2 run right now by Bucknell over the last 2 minutes plus here. That's given them this 2-point advantage.
Rice almost turned it over, but Funk in control. Funk with a deep 3 this time off the heel. The rebound, though, to Timmerman.
Screen, what a job he did in his time. 4 points, 4 rebounds. Now Timmerman comes in and says, all right, I've got to do the same thing, giving him an offensive rebound.
About to hit the 10-minute mark of this first half of the Patriot League opener. Not only the opener for these two teams, but the very first Patriot League action of the season. There are 4 games on today's schedule, but this is the only one with a 1 o'clock Eastern start. So this truly is the Patriot League opener for 2022. Miles Brewster can't connect on the 3 as the Terriers have gone cold.
Suk Matone with another offensive rebound. He now has 22 offensive boards in his last 4+ games. Just a machine inside. Unfortunately, Terriers can't get anything out of it.
Oh, that's a nice score inside the hang and move by. This is BU's 9th season in the Patriot League. It's the first time that they've played Bucknell in their league opener. The Terriers are 6-2 in their Patriot League openers. Bucknell, of course, an original member of the Patriot League going back to 1990. And the Bison are 18-13 overall in Patriot League openers as Suk Matone gets tripped up by Timmerman down low.
Bucknell has won 6 out of their last 7 conference openers, trying to extend that stretch here in Boston.
That's 6 team fouls now on Bucknell, only 2 for the Terriers.
Yeah, we'll see if that gets the Terriers the free throw line. Remember, we've seen this before where the Terriers get them to 6 early on, but do not get easy opportunities at the charity stripe.
Boy, pretty good defense there by Edmonds, the freshman on McCoy, and Matone cannot save the ball. The outlet for Rice, and he misses but draws the foul on Jonas Harper. Well, that just started with terrific on-ball defense by Elvin Edmonds.
Yeah, Edmonds and Timmerman combining. So what Javante McCoy loves to do is when he sees that screen, he wants to try to split the defenders, because usually big men don't move as well, no offense to the big men, and he's able to split them, but that's not the case, and it ends up being a turnover, and Xander Rice, who's been very active the last few minutes in transition, draws the foul on Jonas Harper. But good combined defense, Timmerman and Edmonds. And as we talked about, this Bucknell team has not been necessarily known for their defensive numbers in this season. Number 10 in scoring defense, number 8 in field goal percentage defense, number 10 in offensive rebounds, and yet here they are. That was a great possession defensively for Bucknell.
Should also mention that this Bucknell team has really struggled on the road. They are 0-6 on the road this season, and going back to the end of last season, they have a 7-game road losing streak that they're trying to snap here today.
Yeah, they haven't won outside of Lewisburg all year. Even the 2 neutral site games they lost as well.
And you can imagine that the defensive numbers that you just talked about are even more inflated on the road. Bucknell is allowing just a fraction under 90 points a game on the road. They're only allowing 68 a game at home.
Yeah, 0-7 this year when they give up 80 points or more, and that's not a Nathan Davis style defense, and that's what's been part of that inexperience this year. Defense is not caught up to the offense yet.
Walter White on the drive, may get another crack at it. He'll give it up instead.
Anything better than seeing Walter White and Suk Matone both crashing the boards? Those two are going to do some damage in Patriot League play.
And it's going to be interesting to see as Suk Matone hits the baby hook shot.
That was a mismatch. Vanderheiden can't guard Suk Matone.
It'll be interesting to see as Funk comes up firing from 3 but can't hit it. The cleanup inside though for Ado.
8 seconds as Joe Jones used another one. BU trailing Bucknell 22-16 with 8 minutes to go here in the first half.
Well, BU has had a problem this year, Brian, as we know, with turnovers, and in the first 8 minutes of this game they had no turnovers. But in that last segment, that last 4-minute game segment, they had 2 turnovers, and that helped Bucknell turn this game around.
But not to mention, just, you talk about the principles of defense and rebounding. Ado had a wide open follow-up layup, and Walter White just lost him. I don't know if he ever saw that he was next to him, but those are the kind of, moments where Coach Jones is just saying, we can't do it this way.
That's going to be a turnover for Bucknell as Screen could not handle the pass from Ado.
Yeah, that one you credit on, or you give the turnover to Ado right there. A low pass to the 7-footer, tough to pick up. And let's see if the Terriers can capitalize. Offensively, you're looking at the score and you're saying, all right, well, Bucknell only has 22 points. This is the kind of scoring effort that the Terriers want to put this in terms of a low-scoring game, but Terrier offense just has not connected yet in this one.
Each team only 1 of 7 from three-point land so far in this game. Coming down to 7 minutes to go in the half, they try to go high-low to Walter White and give credit to Funk for tipping that pass out of bounds.
Well, and that's where there's just so much more the Terriers can do offensively with this lineup with Fletcher Tynan, Walter White, and Suk Matone. You've got 3 guys across the front line that are 6'7" and above, and being able to use that height and go over the top is a benefit.
Javante McCoy dribbles away from screen and hits the reverse. What a move by Javante.
Yeah, Javante McCoy does not get his shot altered very often, and even against screen, he realized where he was. That was a beautiful move along the baseline, and he was going to make screen try to block that shot. Couldn't do so. The Terriers get a much-needed bucket.
Vanderheiden gets it to Ado, now to screen, and on the reach-in, a foul is called on the Terriers, and I believe they're going to call that a shooting foul on Walter White. That'll be the second foul on Walter White.
Yeah, both Walter's fouls have been the same kind where he's been reaching in. One where it was at the BU logo, this time screen in the low block. And they were giving him, I'm kind of surprised they gave him the continuation. I thought he was just catching the ball. He hadn't even made a move yet. Nathan Hall, Edward Corbett, and Bob Mamadou, the three calling it here courtside at the Roof in Boston. Happy 2022, basketball in Boston. Not much better to start the calendar year.
You saw Kalen Jones making his first appearance of the day for the Terriers, and with that missed free throw by Screen, Bucknell now 3 of 4 at the line today as Screen gets ready to go again. But coming into today, Bucknell 81% as a team. Screen misses both. He actually came in as a 75% shooter. Bucknell as a team is 4th in the country shooting free throws, and they're going to take that basket away.
That just seemed like a delayed whistle. It was an offensive foul. Fletcher lowered the shoulder, but it just seemed like a delayed whistle. So Joe Jones he's asking, well, wait, why was that a little bit? But maybe it's the 1 o'clock start time. Everyone's a little sleepy still after the celebrations from last night.
First foul on Fletcher. 5 fouls now on BU. Screen gets free inside for the easy bucket.
And miscommunication that time by CJ and Malcolm Chemezi. Weren't sure who was going out to the passer. They both went out, and then it was a great over-the-top pass, and Screen does the rest. He's got 6 right now.
Well, give Bucknell credit, Brian. They came out with a slow start in this game, allowed BU to get an early lead, but Bucknell has heard the alarm, and they are back in this thing, although Javante McCoy is getting his here in the first half. He's got 8.
Well, I just think you talk about a different team. You know, the team that played 10 days ago, this doesn't look like some of the film that we've seen, the points that they've given up. This is a hard-nosed defensive team right now. And they got a foul on Jonas, too.
That's going to be the second on Jonas Harper.
So foul trouble. Wasn't expecting it.
They called it on McCoy. Wow. Called it on McCoy instead of Jonas.
Yeah, it may have been Javante sticking out the leg that tripped him. But a break for the Terriers as you get another look here coming through the screen. And this is the screen pass. Again, just the over-the-top. C.J. Jones and Chemezi going out there. Tough pass.
And inbounds pass stolen by Jonas Harper. Did he get fouled? No, it's just Terrier ball as Funk was there to try and disrupt Harper, but no foul called. Instead, BU will maintain possession after the steal by Harper. You talk about Bucknell playing their last game 10 days ago. They got blown out late, actually. They were in a fairly close game at Richmond, a 10-point game with about 8 minutes to go, and then Richmond just started raining threes at home. But so that was 10 days ago. BU last played 2 weeks ago today, so both of these teams have been on long breaks. Did the clock run?
No, they should be 30 on the shot clock. They're saying it's 20, which I don't quite get. It was a possession for the Terriers after the steal. I'm a little surprised that didn't go to 30.
Bucknell was actually supposed to play as Fletcher Tynan just plain loses the ball. Lack of concentration, unguarded basically, and Fletch lost it out of bounds.
You know, the Terriers, it's only their 4th turnover, but I'd like to say 3 of them have been that unforced kind, and those are the ones that, you know, those and live ball turnovers have just been killer for the Terriers all year.
Xander Rice, hounded by McCoy. Rice tries a tough pass inside the screen. It's tipped out of bounds by BU.
There was some tenacious defense and a good job by Chemezi getting his hands in there, not letting Screen just completely take him out of that circle, because that was where they were trying to get that ball into Screen. Good hands by the Terriers.
On the inbounds to Screen.
Good switch that time. C.J. Jones making sure he couldn't get a lob.
Rice asking for the screen from Timmerman. Down to 5 on the shot clock for Bucknell. Funk over Harper, way off, and an air ball out of bounds. Shot clock violation anyway on Bucknell. What I started to say, Brian, was the Bison were supposed to play another non-conference game 3 days ago at Albany, but about 24 hours before game time, Albany had to cancel that game due to COVID issues in the Great Danes program. So Bucknell comes in with a non-conference record of 3-9, whereas the Terriers had the best non-conference record in the Patriot League at 9-4. And Javante McCoy is now in double figures. He's got 10.
You said silky smooth earlier. I mean, is there anything, just the way he elevates his shot in the middle of the field? These are all 14-foot jumpers he's taken during today's game.
Underneath, oh, a great shot block by CJ as Mota, the freshman, tried to go in, and at the other end, Harper ties the game.
Well, Joe Jones told us before the game that CJ, he's really liked the way he's played in games the last three. He's hit 2 threes in each of the last 3 games. But more importantly, he said CJ had a great practice this week. And it's interesting, he didn't get into the game until the 6-minute mark here in the first half. And now trying to put his mark on this as the Terriers have tied it up.
Timmerman on the high where he missed 2 a few minutes ago.
Yeah, Screen, I think, has been the most dominating player on the floor for Bucknell. Obviously for the Terriers, Javante McCoy's game, he just continues to excel scoring. He's 5 for 6 from the field. He's got 10 points for the Terriers.
Screen now 0 for 3 at the line in this one. Couldn't hit the front end. And Walter White overcooks the layup, but he got fouled, and Walter will go to the line.
That's kind of, again, if you're going to call the foul, do it. You're not waiting to see if the basket goes in. Whether or not that was a foul, I think the Terriers caught a break, but cash in right there as Vanderheiden picks up his second. Vanderheiden, a pick and pop 4-man. We've not seen him get a shot, a 3-point shot in this game, but very adept from the outside. But it's been foul trouble in this one. It's a tough matchup against Walter White as Walter to the free throw line gets the first one to roll in. So Walter now with 4 points in this game to go along with 4 boards.
Walter, before getting hurt, was off to a pretty good start this season. He was BU's second leading scorer, averaging 14 points a game. He was also second in rebounding at 6 a game. He had 7 steals over the first 5 games. And Walter is, of course, closing in now on becoming the 40th 1,000-point scorer in BU history. Walter has 5 points today. He needs 18 more to hit quadruple digits as Funk drives and causes contact at the other end.
Yeah, Sukmatone got him. That was a great move. All of a sudden, the sea parted for Andrew Funk, and he was able to get to the middle, use that right hand, and he didn't get much extension on the shot, but that's because it was partially blocked and hit on the hand by Sukmatone. Suk picks up his first personal, the team's 8th, but it's 2 coming up for Funk.
And Funk is an 84% free throw shooter this season. Funk with a career high 38 points at Illinois State earlier in the year. That's actually, that game was part of the Cancun Challenge. It was a campus game. It actually tied the single game scoring record in the Cancun Challenge. Terriers, of course, familiar with that event, having been there a couple of years ago.
But he goes 1 of 2 at the line, an 84% free throw shooter, so you may believe in unicorns now.
Suk Matone cleaning up the miss by Javante McCoy.
Do you give Javante an assist on that one? Because Javante is just so good getting to the rim, usually going up with that right hand. I wonder if he just knows exactly what he's doing out there.
Javante going for the steal that time on the post pass to Rhodes, and he converts.
Well, Rhodes, again, they're going to they'll bring in Rhodes, but he's had 2 personal fouls, so that's why he's been limited in minutes. Terriers got to him early on. This is only a 6-minute of action here in the first half, but Rhodes, a very versatile big man.
Jonas Harper just short on the 3. Threes still hard to come by in this game. There have only been 2 of them, 1 for each team. And both of these teams get a fair amount of their offensive production from threes. Rice into the Patriot League logo, can't finish it.
Oh, C.J. Jones there just trying to harass him. Couldn't get the rebound, but now it's Javante's turn.
Oh, with the spin, and Javante McCoy now has 12 points.
Well, the Harlem Globetrotters are in Boston coming up this week, and Javante might be joining them with those kind of moves. That just, again, the circus move, but he just knows where he is on the court, understands where the rim is, and if he's close, it's going to be a high percentage shot.
And a blindside steal almost by Jonas Harper as he reached in on Andre Screen.
And that's what I was talking about before. That first possession early in this game when Screen just kept dribbling. We were talking about 6 seconds off the shot clock.
Yep.
This time, not going to be the case. Jonas Harper, after 2 seconds, says, enough of this. I'm going to reach in and try to poke that ball away.
Javante McCoy needs only 4 more points to move into 7th place on the all-time BU scoring list.
Passing Max Mahoney, his former teammate.
This is Rice driving on McCoy. Tough shot. Can't hit it. The rebound out to Walter White. Walter wants to run. Bucknell is back. Euro step for Walter. And even though he juggled the ball in midair, he still hit it.
Malachi Rhodes did not want to pick up his 3rd personal. So Walter White, as long as you avoid the offensive foul, the layup is yours. Beautifully done.
Nice pass inside for Timmerman. He may be in too deep. The block by Suk Matone, and it's called a held ball. The arrow favors Bucknell.
There is a lot of big man work going on inside right now. I mean, Timmerman and Suk Matone are exchanging body blows as they are fighting for position. I'm curious to see if any of the officials are going to say anything at some point. Instead, they call that one instead. Sorry, we're talking about two big men, like just literally, sumo wrestling inside, and instead it's the hand check as you get another look at Walter White just elude the defender as he's able to make sure to get the layup as Rhodes did not want to pick up a third personal here in the first half. Man, I feel for the big man. It's 2022. Can't they get some respect? I mean, these guys are battling inside, and they call the hand check foul coming off the screen, the pull jersey.
Funk to the line. On the second foul against Jonas Harper.
But just watching the next couple possessions, watching away from the ball, if you see Suk Matone and Alex Timmerman, these two guys are fighting for every inch of space to control the paint right now.
Funk, after missing a free throw earlier, hits both this time.
He leads Bucknell now with 9 points. Javante McCoy, the leading scorer in the game, and for the Terriers with 12.
Funk is the only senior on this Bucknell roster. He's also the only Bucknell player 22 years of age or older. By comparison, the Terriers have seven players 22 years of age or older, including Suk Matone, who just hit there.
And there was Suk. They let him even have the arm bar that time for Timmerman, but Suk, strong move and gets the jump hook in the lane.
Funk on the two-man game with Timmerman. Tough shot.
Yeah, a little further out than he wanted to be right there.
Terriers with a chance to extend here before halftime. Leading by 5. There's about a 12-second differential on the clocks here, so Bucknell should get it back. Javante with 10 on the clock. Finds Walter White. Off target with the 3. Suk Matone battling, but can't take it away from Rice.
So Bucknell will then hold for 1 here as you get under 10 seconds.
And they'll use 10.3 on the clock. Bucknell will put it in play for what they hope will be a shot that will pull them into a one-possession game at halftime. Rice backing down McCoy. Fires for the corner, and the air ball from Vanderheiden ends.
That's right. What's the rule about allegiance after you graduate? Just supporting his little brother. Nothing but respect for that.
Blood is thicker than gear.
That is not the Under Armour slogan.
Was never under consideration either. Walter White finds Suk Matone inside, and he had to work hard for that one over Alex Timmerman.
That was just, again, being able to seal your defender. That's all about getting that inside position, that spacing. That's Suk Matone going to work. I mentioned those two have been in a battle for space down in the paint, and that time Suk won it.
BU matches its largest lead of the day at 7. Here's younger brother, Andrew Funk, and he keeps his role alive. Andrew Funk now with 11. He's the first Bucknell player in double figures.
Now that we're coming up on the 19-minute mark, we will lose the younger brother part and just say Andrew Funk.
Chance for Bucknell to go back-to-back now. There are actually 5 Funk brothers in all, including twins. But Tommy and Andrew have both had outstanding college basketball careers, and that tip-in, was that Funk too? No, that was Timmerman.
Yeah, I actually wonder if it was Suk Matone who tipped it in accidentally. They'll credit it to Timmerman, as there was, we mentioned the Terriers +6 on the glass. That's a big number for BU, but an offensive board here in the early going that allows Bucknell to get back-to-back baskets. It's a 3-point game.
White for the triple.
Well, now it's a 6-point game as Walter White quickly. You said he threw one in my face in the first half. He really doesn't like hearing me say the score or 3-point shooting, it appears.
Walter is now in double figures. He's got 10 today as Funk continues the attack.
And Walter White's the only Terrier in this game to have a 3, as he's hit both of them. One in the first half, now one here in the second half.
Oh,
sorry.
There you go.
Sorry.
All you had to do was mention it.
And Javante, I mean, nothing new for Javante McCoy. This is one of those games, 7 of 9 from the field. He's got 15 now to lead all scorers.
One more point to move up a spot past Max Mahoney on the all-time scoring list. Timmerman loses the ball. inside. He was against the double team of Matone and White. Nice rip through by Tynan, but he can't hit the shot, and the ball will stay with BU.
Yeah, that time you saw Fletcher Tynan, the acceleration, as it was a hesitation dribble, realized he could get by, and unfortunately couldn't get it to fall. It was kind of a way he was going in sideways, still trying to go off the glass. It was a tough finish.
From the baseline, McCoy finds White. Less than 10 on the shot clock for BU. Walter White finds a seam in the defense and then finds Fletcher Tynan. Suk Matone again cleaning up.
It's just, this is where the execution of the offense, even if Fletcher doesn't hit that, even if he makes that three, you talk about a baseline move, you get cut off, you look opposite, Fletcher with the open jump shot. If that doesn't go, you're in good position to get a weak side rebound.
Elvin Edmonds misses the three.
Just his second shot attempt. Edmonds has been very quiet in this game so far for Bucknell.
How about Jonas Harper for a three? That doesn't go, he almost banked it in.
You know, we've seen some odd things in this game so far, and that one, even Jonas had a smile on as it hit the side of the backboard and then spun around and went halfway down and popped out.
Terriers out to a 9-point advantage now, and Funk gets fouled by Jonas Harper. Jonas a little frustrated. That'll be his third foul. And I was about to say, Brian, that there were 5 guys carrying 2 personals into this second half. So Jonas Harper is the first of those 5 to get number 3.
That was just a better offensive move by Andrew Funk. Andrew Funk with a 3-inch height advantage over Jonas Harper. And this has been, you know, Jonas Harper has spent all year, all his career, guarding some of the best offensive players. And Andrew Funk, that was just a better move by Funk, being able to use his height advantage to get that shot off. And he drew the foul, but missed another free throw. Again, 2 missed free throws by Andrew Funk. You're not going to see that most times in the season.
Yeah, and Bucknell with 5 missed free throws already in the game. We talked about them being 4th in the country at 81% coming into today's game, and even Nathan Davis, talking to Jacob at halftime, mentioned those missed free throws. They can't afford that in a game like this.
And you always wonder if having a 2-week hiatus, those are some of those things where you can practice and shoot free throws all day, all night in practice, but it's also how you do it when you're game exhausted, and not having a game in 2 weeks, I wonder if some of that has spilled over to the free throw line.
Terriers moving the ball quickly. Walter White can't connect, and Bucknell keeps the rebound in play. The outlet from Rice, down the floor to Vanderheiden, and good defense by the Terriers getting back.
So I've now seen Javante McCoy take a charge and Javante McCoy diving for a loose ball. This is a crazy year already.
It's a new year,
It's a crazy year already, folks.
Since we were speaking about Tommy Funk, the older brother, a minute ago, it's funny how coincidences like this happen sometime. We've talked about Javante McCoy's march up the all-time scoring list. He's also marching up the all-time Patriot League scoring list. Coming into today, as the 3 does not go for Funk, a rare miss for him so far today. Anthony Morales into the game for BU. And Suk Matone with room to operate on screen, and he works Andre's screen for 2 more. Suk has 16 in the game.
Again, as a big man with just the ability to use your feet, great footwork on that possession to get him 2.
Javante McCoy got a hand in, almost got a steal there, but eventually the shot was taken. Javante McCoy coming into today's game, Javante was tied for 31st on the all-time Patriot League scoring list, tied with Tommy Funk. So Javante's next point will not only move him into 7th on the BU list, it'll move him into the top 30 on the Patriot League list. Morales for the triple, that's off to the right.
He knew it right away. He put his head over to the side. That was, again, inside out. Walter White posting up, which we haven't seen much today. I was happy to see that, and you know I'm a big fan of posting up Walter White, just seeing how the defense reacts to that. Do they come with a double? Do they have the have the shot blocker in the back end? You know, it's always curious to see how they defend a play like that.
Funk with 15 points, the only Bucknell scorer in double figures, as Screen gets loose inside on Malcolm Chimezi.
Chimezi that time left his feet. He was battling Screen for position, but it's he left his feet. That's what got Screen up to be able to go up in the air.
Screen now has 8, and there's going to be a foul on Josh Ado for Bucknell.
Yeah, Ado, a very physical defender. That's what he's there for, and certainly you look at this Bucknell team. He's wearing the same number, by the way, as Avi Toomer. It's the second coming, and Bucknell is excited to see what he can bring. And certainly in the first half, we saw great moments from this Bucknell defensively.
Morales gets rid of it. Still plenty of time for the Terriers, but Miles Brewster goes twisting in with the right hand for his first points.
There's just no secondary help that time, whether it was Rhodes or Screen who didn't come over and help that, and just a beautiful finish that time by Miles.
Chimezi playing solid defense on Screen, and the Terriers get it back. Quickly up to Morales. Now to White. Lost his footing, but found the open man. And Malcolm
is up to 11, 50 to 39, as we're back live here in Boston. 14 minutes to go in this one. BU leading at 50 to 39.
And on the other side, Brian, Bucknell, as they get called for an offensive foul away from the ball, that one's going to be on Andre Screen. Bucknell sitting on just one 3-point field goal in this game. They are now 1 of 11, and Andrew Funk, one of the best shooters in the Patriot League, is 0 for 4 behind the arc. He's averaging 3 threes per game this season. That's second best in the Patriot League right now.
Mismatch.
Oh, Walter White goes in hard, and that's going to be an offensive foul on Walter.
Yeah, there was the mismatch, but good job by Andrew Funk kind of taking the it's amazing how when you have a smaller player on you, you just think, I'm going to overpower. But every time you drop that shoulder, it's going to be an easy offensive foul.
Funk is one of only 13 players in the country who's already had 3 games or more this season with at least 6 threes, and he has none so far today.
We should also mention, Doug, that foul on Walter White, he now has 3 personal fouls to match Jonas Harper. So Harper, who was guarding Andrew Funk, has been out. Miles Brewster has been the one chasing him around, and Funk able to get the better of him from 14 feet on that one.
We'll see how the Terriers play this, with Funk being the most dangerous man on the floor for Bucknell. Now with Harper and White out of the game.
And Javante McCoy getting a breather. So it's Suk Matone is the one out there, the main scoring weapon for the Terriers.
EBW contributes with a 3. His first bucket since returning to action, and his first points of the day.
Last 7 points for BU have come from the bench. That's how you're going to get contributions. And again, when you're looking at a roster and you're saying, all right, they're going to go to Suk. When other guys step up, good things happen.
Oh, Ado with the nice spin inside, and he'll get a chance for a 3-point play.
It's been a tough afternoon for Anthony Morales. He's missed a couple of jump shots, one real wide to the right, and then that time against Ado, he was just a flurry of spin moves, and Ado was able to get him up in the air. Anthony Morales is a very talented offensive player for the Terriers, and he's just not been able to get it going here in this one.
So an old-fashioned 3 at the other end after Ethan Britton-Watts drills the triple, and it's back to a 9-point BU lead.
Now, you heard Joe Jones say it at halftime in his walk-off interview with Jacob Lintner that EBW has played very well in practice, getting back, rehabbing after that ankle injury, and having both these guys back for conference play. This makes this Terrier team just so much deeper.
Miles Brewster can't hit the short jumper. Yeah, and for Ethan, Brian, this is only his 5th game of the year, because remember, before getting hurt in Florida, he sprained the other ankle earlier in the season. So he's sprained both ankles this season.
There's not a third one he can sprain, so hopefully he can stay healthy as he starts starts conference play.
Screen. Trying to out-physical Suk Matone. Finds the cutter, though, and there's a wide-open Josh Bosco.
Well, that time it was Suk Matone kind of saying to EBW, hey, I had him one-on-one. You don't need to come over and help that time. Guards are usually just so adept at saying, well, if the guy's putting it on the floor, I'm going to get it. But Screen went to the baseline, which made it very difficult to make the steal.
Still 10 on the shot clock for BU. Jonas Harper getting ready to check in again for the Terriers, even with the 3 fouls. Screen with the block on Matone. Back the other way come the Bison. They were down by 11 not that long ago. Trying to make it a 2-possession game again. The miss inside.
Now that should have been an offensive foul on Malachi Rhodes. He dropped the shoulder and no call. Terriers get the ball back, and it's a 3-on-3 right now. Everyone gets back, and the Terriers can set up their offense.
Ethan Britton Watts, not this time. And the rebound is missed.
And they are 1-1 in those games as well. So the Terriers trying to control it at their level, doing so right now, holding Bucknell to 46 points with 11 minutes to go in this one.
The only loss on that stat was that bizarre 49-48 game at Northeastern back in November. Suk Matone has it roll off inside.
I thought you were going to make a joke saying the Terriers are still looking for a 3 in that game.
That's kind of like what Bucknell has gone through today. Very similar. Andre Screen can't hit inside.
Yeah, it looked like he got fouled. I don't know if it was Fletcher or Suk who came across him. No call there, and the Terriers get the ball back.
That was Suk's 14th rebound of the game just a moment ago. That ties his career high. He had 14 against Marist 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, this has just been a monstrous game for Suk, and again, adding Walter White has just made it even better for him on the glass. Those two combined now with 20 boards.
Bucknell can't keep that ball in play. The Terriers will get another shot underneath.
And it's not always, as we talked about, getting offensive rebounds, which Suk, the numbers for him getting offensive boards have been insane, but being able to keep possessions alive just by altering that as well.
I'm glad you brought that up because Suk already has 5 offensive rebounds today. He's averaging 4 a game. He is 7th in the country coming into today on the offensive boards. The Terriers get a 3rd chance now, and they will maintain possession on the end line.
Ethan Britton Watts was the one who got that offensive rebound. He is not averaging 7th. He is not 7th in the country, but that one fell right to him. And the Terriers trying to take advantage. You know, again, BU was able to build that 11-point lead. 2 straight buckets by Bucknell. Terriers getting a couple starters back in the game with Jonas and Javante, looking for a big bucket on this one.
Suk Matone overcooks it inside, and now Bucknell will finally get it back. So the Terriers had 3 opportunities but could not extend the lead there.
Well, with this lineup right now, with Ethan Britton Watts and Jonas Harper in the game, it's now Javante McCoy becomes the 3, basically, and he is now trying to get the offensive glass. So a different role for Javante besides just scoring. He's now saying, I'm attacking the offensive board. He was in on that play, just didn't get the rebound that time.
Funk with the kick out. Vanderheiden keeps it moving. Timmerman kicks it out. And Funk on the baseline. He makes it look so easy, doesn't he?
The Terriers are just flying at him. They do not want him to go off from 3-point range. So Jonas Harper and even Suk Matone was basically trying to get out there and force Funk to put it on the floor. He does that, hits the mid-range jumper though.
Yeah, this might be one of those cases where the Terriers will live with the 2-point shots if they have to, but their lead is now down to 5 after it was 11. There's a 3 for Funk. That's too strong, but the Bison keep it.
Xander Rice, how about that? The smallest guy on the floor able to get the rebound. That's not going to make Joe Jones and the coaching staff very happy watching that, but long shot, long rebound.
Timmerman, a tough catch inside, and there's going to be a foul on Jonas Harper. That is number 4 on Jonas.
And this is why offensive rebounds just put things in really difficult positions because the Terriers were not matched up at that point. So Jonas Harper ended up on the mismatch with Timmerman. Timmerman just trying to back him in and the pass over the top, and Jonas basically took the chair out from underneath Timmerman and picks up his 4th personal foul. I'd have to look back to see when the last time we really thought Jonas Harper was in true foul trouble. It hasn't happened much this season for really any of the Terriers.
I'm going to guess without looking, and I will look it up, as now Vanderheiden is shaken up on the baseline as he took a spill.
Yeah, he slipped on the baseline. He and Walter White kind of got basically ran over each other, and then Vanderheiden hit the ground and may have hurt his hand or wrist as he fell, but he seems to be shaking it off or his elbow.
Well, my guess was going to be that Jonas Harper has never fouled out of a game in his long BU career, but he actually did DQ twice back in the championship season 2 years ago.
So all right, so we know it's been 2 years that we can say it's been in foul trouble.
So this is his 96th game, and he has fouled out twice. BU clinging to a 5-point lead now. Rice tried to go inside, and there's a reach-around foul on Suk Matone as Timmerman was protecting the space. And that's going to be the second on Suk. Incidentally, speaking of
Games played.
milestones, yes. Well, of course, we were actually talking about this before the game. When does a game become an official game in the event that, there's a leak in the roof or something and the game has to stop? So it's not at the opening tip, certainly. I don't know, is it halftime? We'll have to get a confirmation on that from the league office. As Kalen Jones gets called for the foul on Josh Ado, Ado will go to the line. But the reason that discussion came up is because Suk Matone is playing today in his 130th BU game, which makes him the all-time games leader in BU history. He breaks a tie with John Papali, Dom Morris, and John Holland. But when officially does the game become an official game? It's not like we have a fifth inning rule or anything.
So it's not like where if we see it, it's real. It has to be true. I'm looking at it. I see him playing there. In fact, we've watched all 130 of his games.
We have.
Hairstyles have changed. His nutrition and body type have changed, but same old Suk.
Well, if Suk and Javante McCoy can stay healthy for the rest of the year, they could put themselves in the top 2 places on that games played list, and they may never be caught because of the 5th year put in place by COVID, of course, as Bucknell gets called for a foul at the other end. That's going to be on Alex Timmerman. That'll be team foul number 5 on Bucknell and the second on Timmerman, and the Terriers in desperate need of points on this trip here.
Yeah, it's been 5 minutes since the Terriers have scored a bucket, and in that time, Bucknell has been able to reel off 8 points. This is an 8-0 run over 5:08, and the Terriers are still holding a 1-possession lead. We said last time, just looking for any sort of bucket, points from free throw line, anything right now.
McCoy on the baseline, comes up short, gets his own rebound though. Tries to attack and draws the foul on Josh Ado, so it will be free throws. Actually, I beg your pardon, that's only the 6th foul. Yep, it's only the 6th foul, so the next one, both ways, will be 1-1.
And speaking of free throws, Javante McCoy, last game against Marist, that was the first game this season he did not get a free throw attempt. One of the ways he has scored, and certainly we've seen him score over 20, is getting to the charity stripe. That was not the case in the Terriers' overtime loss back on December the 18th.
Back into the game, Elvin Edmonds, the freshman. Again, 4 freshmen in the rotation for Nathan Davis this year. 3 of them have played today. We have not seen Brock Newton, the Canadian from Fergus, Ontario, as Kalen Jones hits a big shot right there.
That was a line drive 3. You talk about being on the money. That was not a high arcer. That was just a line drive, and boy, did the Terriers need it. And he comes up with the steal on the other side.
Looking to run. Terriers into the front court. Javante shut off beautifully by Rice, thinking about the drive into the paint. Walter White going to work, and he loses the ball, but the whistle.
On Jake Vanderheiden, which was his 3rd. We should also mention Josh Ado picked up his 3rd on 2 plays before that for Bucknell.
Walter misses the front end of the 1-and-1, so an empty trip for BU. For Kalen Jones, incidentally, that was his first attempt from the floor today. He is now 8 of 16 from three-point land in limited action this season as Screen draws the foul on BU. That'll be on Ethan Britton-Watts.
Yeah, that was a mismatch. Screen against EBW inside. EBW just trying to wrap up the ball and get the held ball. But there it was again on the switch. The Terriers will switch a lot, even if it leads to guards being on the big men. They're trying to see if they can get in the passing lanes. One thing that Bucknell, we've talked about their turnovers. They are -5 in turnover margin, meaning they have not been able to draw turnovers either, as Screen misses the front end of a 1-and-1.
And he is now 0 for 4 at the line today. He came in 9 of 12 for the season. So empty trips at both ends on the 1-and-1 tries. BU trying to extend to a 3-point lead now, approaching 7 minutes to go, 8 to shoot.
Good defense by Xander Rice trying to guard the perimeter.
Ethan Britton-Watts puts the brakes on. Javante's got to shoot it. He does in a hurry and misses.
That was just good defense by Bucknell in that possession. Terriers were trying to get Jones another look from beyond the arc, but Xander Rice cut that one off, and against the shot clock, Javante just had to throw it up.
From the corner, Vanderheiden misfires on a 3.
And there's the career high for Suk Matone with his 15th rebound. 16 and 15 for Suk. You got to give him the ball now. He deserves an offensive possession here, right?
McCoy with a tricky little bounce pass to Suk Matone, and Suk is up to 18 points.
Oh, there you go. Reward the big man for his rebound on the defensive end. And how many times have we seen a two-man game between Javante and Suk?
Still nothing from the three-point line for Andrew Funk, and this one goes over the backboard.
Ethan Britton-Watts doing a good job contesting. Again, when you're at a shooter, the idea is make him hit twos. That's what the Terriers, they want to just take away what other teams do great, and that is for Bucknell, three-point shooting. This is not the first team the Terriers have played against where they have been good three-point shooting teams, and the Terriers have made it very difficult for them. At one point, they're in the top 20 in the country in three-point field goal defense.
Walter White gets shut off. Under 6 minutes to go now here in Boston. Javante on the drive. The kick to Walter White, but can't hit the three, and there is another rebound for Suk Matone, but this one is stolen by Andrew Funk.
Yeah, he brought the ball down. Joe Jones said a lot of Suk's turnovers are when he brings the ball down.
And there's the drive by Funk at the other end, and he'll get a chance for a three-point play. This is still just a two-possession game, approaching 5 minutes to go.
Well, you see Andrew Funk just talking to himself. He's frustrated that he hasn't been able to get going from beyond the arc, but these are what good scorers do. They find a way to score. Funk now with 19 points. He's had to do it without the three-point shot, and by the way, he's also missed 2 free throws.
Yep.
But now he gets a chance to use the free throw to get him up to the 20-point plateau.
Funk misses another free throw.
And let me correct myself. That bucket gave him 21. I was a basket behind. My apologies.
BU leads by 6. CJ thought about it after the handoff from Chimezi. Keeps it moving. Javante with the fall away, and he gets fouled. Is that on Andre's screen? He ended up in a heap.
That was a bowling play right there. It was a 7-10 split, and it looked like
Doe.
Oh, they got a Doe with his 4th, but Screen, maybe did a Doe knock into then Screen, because Screen was the one that landed on Javante. But McCoy will go to the free throw line. It's his first free throws of the afternoon. Incidentally,
Andrew Funk isn't the only Bucknell player with extended family here in Boston for the game today. Jake Vanderheiden from Raleigh, North Carolina, is the nephew of former BU and George Washington big man Bill Brigham, who is here today and sitting up behind us. Bill Brigham played during the end of the Mike Jarvis era here at BU before moving on to GW with Mike Jarvis. Inside, Rice finds screen for the dunk.
Oh, that's just a great one-on creation by Xander Rice. He was able to get into the paint, and there's not been a lot of spacing on either side for some of the passes we've seen, but somehow he got that pass off to Screen, who can do the rest at 7 feet.
Under 5 to go now, 6-point game. Bucknell has hung in this one. The Terriers threatened to get some distance early in this half with a double-digit lead, but Bucknell had an immediate answer, and the Terriers have struggled to score in the last 5-6 minutes.
That was a great job by Malcolm Chimezi to get that loose ball. Unfortunately, he tipped it right out to Bucknell, who has a chance to inch closer here in a 2-possession game.
8 fouls for each team. The arrow favors Bucknell if there's a held ball. And Vanderheiden throws it away, trying to get it to Screen, picked off beautifully by Walter White. And Walter starting the attack, and his pass gets deflected and stolen.
Yeah, Terriers trying to get out in transition. We mentioned the transition points in the first half. That was big for the Terriers, getting fast break points. BU has not gotten a fast break bucket here in the second half.
Terriers digging in on defense here. Bucknell trying to pull closer. Funk trying to do it himself, and he does with the right-hand sweeper, and it's a 4-point BU lead.
Again, doing this without the help of three-point shooting. He is 10 for 13 inside the arc.
0 for 5 outside the arc. Actually 0 for 6 now. Walter White working on Vanderheiden. Chimezi can't hang on to the ball, and it's another BU turnover.
Yeah, they were trying to get it to Chimezi. The two-man game right there with Walter White. There wasn't much space, but Terriers had position, But there have been a couple balls that have just slipped out of the hands of Malcolm Chemezi in the last 2 possessions. Bucknell has a chance to make it a 1-possession game here.
BU had actually been taking care of the ball as well in this game as they have in any game all year, but back-to-back turnovers in the last 2 possessions in crunch time, and that's an air ball from Funk on the baseline.
Yeah, Suk Matone, Jonas Harper, and Fletcher Tynan all ready to check in, so the Terriers got their minutes from subs here late in this game, especially to give Suk a breather coming down the final stretch.
Javante McCoy rises but can't hit.
The Terriers on the offensive glass, they are relentless. Chemezi had a hand on that one as well. There's a reason why this Terrier team averaging close to 11 offensive rebounds a game.
Max Mahoney now 7th on or 8th on the all-time list, and a possible future halftime guest on TSRN.
What a tease, what a tease.
How about that? 2:15 to go in the game. Critical possession for Bucknell here, trailing by 4. Ethan Britton-Watts getting ready to check back in for BU as Edmonds, the freshman, hits his first shot of the day. His first points bring Bucknell within 1.
Yeah, Edmonds is 14-3 of the season. He can shoot the ball, but he's not really looked for a shot in this game. Talk about stepping up. They say he's the more mature out of all the freshmen, and that was a big spot to get a triple there.
1-point game. 8 to shoot for BU. Javante trying to make it happen. It's off the heel. Tynan keeps it alive briefly, but now it's Bucknell's.
Fletcher Tynan tried to tip that ball up. I don't know if he was actually in a position to catch that and bring the ball down. It looked like he was just flying in from one of the wings where he didn't really have the full control, but unfortunate for the Terriers that they had 2 looks at it, couldn't get it to go down.
Bucknell has not led here in the second half. They're bidding for a lead right now with 1:10 to play in regulation. Screen against Matone, tough fall away. It's an air ball and a shot clock violation anyway, but they'll say play on.
Yeah, they're letting this one go, and that's good for the Terriers to let the time be, part of the clock as well.
Jonas Harper misfires as the Terrier drought continues, but they're going to get a shot at the free throw line here.
Screen. They got screen on the personal over the back of Suk Matone. So Suk with 6 offensive boards. This is where I think they should credit him with a 7th because he kept that play alive. He gets himself to the free throw line, 1-and-1 here, coming up for the Terriers.
How crucial is this with 56 seconds to go?
We saw Walter White a minute ago miss the front end of a free throw as well. This second half for Bucknell, they have gotten their shooting back up. 13 of 26 from the field are the Bison here in the second half. And another story that continues to occur, which is just an oddity. Talk about number of possessions. Bucknell right now has 9 less field goal attempts than the Terriers. On the season, they are averaging 10 less field goal attempts than their opponent. Less possessions, less opportunities, a lot of that having to do with turnovers, and of course the second chance opportunities that the Terriers have created on the glass.
Suk Matone will get the bonus now, looking for his 20th point of the day.
Yeah, the 19 matches his career high. And 20 breaks it.
And that is a crucial point right there, making it a 3-point lead.
And again, for Bucknell, you do not have to go for a 3 right here. This is where you're taking 2, you're taking anything just to get points.
Funk fights for the shot and hits it.
He has just been tremendous. Joe Jones told us that he is an all-league first-team player, and he's showing that here in Game 1 of Patriot League play.
And now a timeout called by BU. And BU with a 1-point lead coming out of the timeout. Let's see what they try to get here.
Bucknell does not have to foul, and even if they do, it's a 1-and-1 opportunity. But this is where the Terriers don't care about clock. It's about getting points. It will be 2 free throws upcoming for the Terriers.
It would be a 1-and-1 for Bucknell at the other end if BU were to foul. 8 to shoot. McCoy takes the handoff. He'll drive against screen and throw it away. And here come the Bison. Rice into the front court for Funk. Will they use the timeout? Yes, as Funk gets right next to roof. So it'll be Rice to put it in play. 10.8 to go. They go to Funk. Not a surprise. It'll be a surprise if he doesn't take the shot. There it is. Comes up short on the 3. Suk Matone will wait for the foul with 2.1 left to go. How unbelievable would that have been if Andrew Funk had been able to hit that three after struggling from outside all day long.
And I'm wondering if Andrew Funk didn't necessarily know what the score was, because he could have taken another step in and taken a mid-range jump shot, which he has been amazing at all game long. So I wonder if he's going to look at the film, and you wonder if that was a shot that he wanted, or if he thought he could just knock it down from beyond the arc. Either way, Suk Matone at the line. And what was interesting about that play is Miles Brewster was in the game guarding Funk. Jonas Harper was off the ball guarding Edmonds, because Edmonds hit the last three, making sure he doesn't get a look. And Miles Brewster's job was to make sure that Funk was trying to go in. And here's another look at it. Well, I guess Suk was coming out there. He settled for that three.
Bucknell is out of timeouts here. Matone misses the second free throw, but the Terriers maintain control, and they will